Hi there, welcome to Refine Co. Today we're taking a look at the all-new Refine 2 preset and profile collection. Refine 2 is a highly anticipated spread of presets featuring a clean color palette, crisp whites, and true blacks. Perfect for a wide variety of genres and styles, Refine 2 can seamlessly go from light and airy to dark and moody while maintaining beautiful rich colors and Refine Co's luminous skin tones. Developed at the request of our Refine Co community, Refine 2 showcases an even cleaner and pure color palette than our beloved Refine 1 collection, along with zero color shifts in the highlights and shadows. The result? Authentic, true-to-life edits that will instantly elevate your images. Here we have a beautiful collection of images from our Refine Co community that we'll be editing today to show you how the new Refine 2 collection works. Be sure to head to their profile links in the bio. All right, let's go ahead and open these up and take a look at the collection itself. Similar to Refine 1, for those that have it, it is comprised of one main preset with 4 strengths. The goal of Refine 2 and Refine 1 is quick, easy edits. We want to make this as intuitive as possible to avoid you having to jump into these panels and make this as click-friendly as you can. We've tried to do the work for you so you don't have to go into your shadow sliders and colors and things like that. We've tried to make it as easy as possible for you right here in this panel. So you have 4 strengths. You'll use these in a variety of situations. Sometimes you'll just lean on 2, sometimes you'll lean on all 3. This is your lightest and airiest, and this is your darkest and more contrast one. Sometimes I do lean on these when I'm doing backlit situations or just have an overly flat image. We'll lean on the darker too. You have 2 black and whites. These are rebuilt. They're not the same as Refine 1 either. And then workflow tools from there. We have 2 backlit ones. These basically lift the shadows when you're backlighting and need to lift up that shadow slider. We have bright white, highly requested from the Refine Co community. For those that really like those crisp whites, this is for you. You can add it on top of these. And we have 2 chromatic aberration, one for green and one for purple. When shooting light and airy, you generally are shooting wide open. And with the prime lenses especially, tend to get those little pink lines around your highlights. Sometimes it's green lines, just depending on the lighting. We made one-click options for you to try to take those out. Of course, you can hand adjust them in the lens distortion or lens correction panel, but we try to make it as easy as possible. A quick contrast boost, 3 grains, highlight recover. You'll recognize that from Refined 1. Soften is new. That just takes a little bit of that digital edge off. And then 2 Vibrance, which we actually use these quite a bit in this collection. I wanted to build it so it fit a nice span. Everybody was wanting color, so these are more colorful than Refined 1. But if you want the extra punch of color or you have an overly flat and dull image, you'll lean on these 2 presets. But I'll show you how that works too. And of course, our undos from there. Let's go ahead and start. We have this beautiful image from Lainey Moren. And I'm just going to go ahead, let's lift the exposure up a little, and I think we're going to want to warm it up a little. So just a touch. Let's do our side-by-side so we can watch it in action. And I'm going to go ahead and just click through for you. So there's Refine 1. I could literally stop right there and not do anything else. The image is beautiful, but I'm going to show you the flexibility, and that way for different styles, you can see if you like a little more of a documentary style or that kind of darker, moodier style, you can click on number 3. And you've got full flexibility of your panels over here as well. So let me go back to Refine 1. And let's go ahead and take the black and whites. I did nice, soft, kind of traditional black and whites. They don't have a ton of contrast. The black points are still a little lifted on these, but I think they're beautiful. And then mixed with the darker, you can't see the grains on video, but mixed with the heavier grains, that just looks so good. But let's go ahead and start here. So if I was to edit this image myself, I think I would lean on the +1. Maybe lift exposure a little. Let me show you this backlight. You see how it just lifts those shadows just a little bit. So again, personal preference. I think for this, I kind of like it a little more documentary. And then let me show you, I'm going to pop this over to the left real quick. I'm going to show you the first Vibrance. You might not notice as much. Actually, you can see it quite a bit. See how much more the blue tones and the greens, but it's still a very natural color palette. It doesn't feel too harsh and too bright. So that's the first one. Of course, this is great too. And then the next one is a little more of a punch on top of that. So just depending on your image, how much color you're wanting, these just work amazing. So I'm super excited about them. I lean on them a lot for this collection because I really want to focus on color. Here's our next image, and I think the beauty of this one is to show you how it works on a variety of skin tones. And I will be making a video showing you guys the comparison between Refine 1 and Refine 2 because I know I'm going to get that question a lot. So I'm going to go ahead and do a follow-up video to this video showing you the comparison between the two to determine if you need one or both in your collection. So I went ahead and just did auto on the color just to kind of get started because it was obviously shot very cool. Lifted the exposure a little bit and then one click of the preset. So I feel like I do want to cool it down just a touch. And again, I could just stop there. You can see the whites are not blown out, but they're very white. There's no color shift in the highlights or the shadows, and you can see in her black hair just how perfect, but you can still see all in there. If you feel like you need to lift it a little, you can lift right here in your shadows, but I kind of like the depth of it, and it's got a great fall off. We're still nicely highlighted on her face and true to colors on the florals. I think it's beautiful. You see there's very little color shift in this, but it really brought the image to life. And of course, as you want to click through, you can get deeper and darker. We probably want to lift this just a little because we don't want her hair completely black so you can't see any of the texture. Those are too dark. So I would definitely lift this a little if you wanted to run into the darker versions. So somewhere like that. And that way you still have that fall off and that depth, but we've lifted that black up a little bit. Let's take a look at the black and whites. Same thing. If you want to lift a little, you can. Either in the blacks, you can adjust the contrast as needed, lift the shadows, you can brighten up those whites. There's the bright white on that one. Let's go ahead and move on. I've got about 21 images, so I'm going to kind of move through them to keep this video from being too long. And that's literally almost a one-click edit. I know Danielle's work really well. This is Danielle Hobbs. She's a beautiful lifestyle newborn photographer. And you can see it's almost a one-click edit. I really didn't have to do much. You can see how beautiful the skin is. It's maintained her true natural color, but just kind of given it a little bit of that soft, creamy texture to it. But you can see the whites are still very white and the blues are blue. One thing it does have is it has a little bit of a brighter in the pinks and reds than Refine 1. So in a situation like this where you have newborns that tend to be a little more on the pink side, those will come up. So you may have to pull down the reds a little when you're dealing with that. But when you're dealing with just people that don't have it, you can see her lips are just perfectly flushed. And, you know, even the slight blushing on her chest is just the right amount of color. And again, depending on how you like your contrast, you can pick one of these. We can backlight if we want to lift the shadows. If we want to do the bright white, you can see how that instantly just gives it that extra pop and gives you those nice crisp whites for those that are looking for that. And then of course, contrast, you can also add that in just to give a little bit of pop to the black point. Here's another one by Lainey, and I liked this one because this is a little bit of a flatter image. You know, because it's backlit and looks a little bit late in the day, maybe even a little bit of that summer haze from humidity and stuff. I think she's down in the south when she shot this. So I wanted to show you how I would lean on one of the others. So I could do just Refine 2 straight up. That's beautiful. But if I wanted to cut through some of that haze, I think that one's a little too strong for this because I want to keep this mood. So I'm just going to lift a tiny bit. I'm going to pop this over to the left here. And again, I could stop right here. It's perfectly fine. But I want to take a look at Vibrance. How you can see it just gives even more color depth to the image, but it's just not overdone. Like these aren't fluorescent blues. The oranges are nice and rich and bright. because we've got the summer glow on her right now, but it's not too bright. So, but I think it looks great. And newborn, I'm going to crop this so that corner's not as distracting. Just keep it tucked in here. Beautiful newborn. Again, this is from Danielle Hobbs, and there's just a one click. I'll probably turn this down just a smidge on the exposure. And I do like to run soften on newborns just because I tend to take that digital edge off of my newborns when I shot them. So I like soften on this because, again, things are still crisp. It's tack sharp. You can literally, if I zoomed in all the way, you could see every single little eyelash here. So it didn't take any of the focus off, but it just softened up those edges a little bit. And we could, of course, run Vibrance if you wanted. I wouldn't suggest on newborns because I feel like it's a little too jarring. And then gray and contrast. You've got all these options. You could do bright white, but I think this is already shot pretty bright, so it made them a little hot. So I don't think bright white is ideal for this one. But let's go ahead and take a look at black and white though. Beautiful, love that. You see just how easy they are. I have not needed yet, and I've done a variety of photos on different camera bodies. And actually, for those that were asking for the, I think this was the 5 or 6. Let me look at the metadata on this. Where am I going? Library. Yeah, this is the R6. I have a lot of people asking how these work on those. You'll see several of these images in here are with the R5 or the R6. All of the Danielles are R5, and they're editing just fine. One of the things we are seeing with the R5 and the R6, and here's another one. This one is R6 as well, is this one has plenty of color and contrast. Sometimes they don't have very much at all, and that's what everybody's having trouble with the editing. I have not found why they're inconsistent in that, but I have seen it. I've seen some files come in that are super flat and lackluster from the R6, and then some that come in just perfectly fine, like this image here. When you have an image that's a little flat, I suggest adding contrast and then adding one of our Vibrance tools, and that usually fixes it just fine. But that seems to give the life back into the image when it's needed. This is from Corey Johnson, and it is an adorable image. I just love this session when she sent it to me. But I think I'm going to use the 2, and I'm going to warm it up just a smidge. And I think I'm going to put Vibrance on because I want you guys to really see how this changes the colors. And that's the tiniest pop, but it does help bring in a little life into the greens. And then if I want to do this one, again, they look natural, but it really brought up those greens and the pinks and just gave it that little extra pop of color that it needed. You can try bright white just to really brighten things up and give it that extra pop. We could do backlight if we want to soften up the shadow levels. You can add grains. You can't see that on video, so I'm not going to bother. You can soften. Again, it's very subtle, but it really just helps give it that nice, soft, buttery look without the extra digital edge. And then highlight recover really only took care of her bow here that was getting a little bit blown out, but it looks great. And then the black and whites, I feel like this looks so traditional right here. And if you want a little more of a pop, you can use number 2. And if you feel like it's a little too strong, you can just adjust as your sliders and find that happy medium. So again, just as flexible as Refined 1, but without the color shift that we had in that. Refined 1 was developed after film, so it has color shifts that we see in Fuji 400H film. But we had people looking for something that was very clean, and that's why we designed this collection. Another gorgeous image from Lainey, and I love this because it really shows off the strength of the colors. You can see her little bathing suit here. Let's go and warm her up a little because we are at the beach and have that nice warm sun. Don't want to overdo the exposure. If you guys watch my videos, you know I really keep this exposure at a natural level, and I work from my shadow sliders to give the depth. So I like shadow, and I'm going to turn the contrast off and try this one. Here we go. And that really gives that pop. And this already has a good bit of color, but if we really wanted to sing in those summer colors, let's just add in the Vibrance. And you can see them pop. And those look beautiful. Love that. Another image from Corey Johnson. I love this because it really showed the colors. I'm going to go ahead and warm her up. I'm watching her skin tone on this. She's very fair. She's got a nice soft skin tone. But I want to make sure that her skin is what looks good. So warmed it up to there. And let's take a look at the other, kind of like that. And lift exposure a little more. Keep that contrast in there. And again, this is one of those, of course, this looks like just after sunset. It may be hitting back here. She's in the shade. What am I looking for? Our library. Yep, another R6 file. So this is one that I feel like could use maybe a boost of color. So I would just maybe add that in. But if you like that really soft color palette, you could just stick with the original Refined. But I think adding in the first Vibrance really helps those R6 files sometimes, and sometimes you need the contrast to really give them an extra pop. Here's another image. This is also from Corey Johnson, but one is female and one is male. I had two Corey Johnsons spelled exactly the same, submit files. So it's been fun keeping those guys straight. Let's go ahead and you see this is completely open shade. I'm going to go ahead and do transform. For those that don't know, just a little editing tip. You can use the auto, and usually it gets it just right, and it looks like it has. It fixed the horizontal and the vertical. But if not, you can use your upright tool. I will do another video showing you guys how to use this for those who don't. It's great when you're shooting interiors or architectural work and really want to get those lines straight. So highly recommend learning those tools, but auto works pretty good most of the time. There's an occasion that it doesn't, but you can hand adjust as you want through here as well. So very cool image in open shade. So let's go ahead and take a look at what Lightroom thinks it should look like. I like starting with auto when it is a strong, cold, or warm image because it gets me somewhere in the middle, and then I usually hand tweak from there. So it's just a way to make it faster than tweaking by hand the whole way. I'm going to run Refined 1. You can see how beautiful that is. And I do feel like I need to cool it down just a smidge. And because his suit is reading very dark, I am going to lift from the shadows just a little bit, just so I can see the details in his suit. Part of it is it's in open shade, and they're also inside of this little alcove. You can see her dress is perfectly cream. It looks like it's cream. His shirt is white, but that's a true white. Gorgeous skin tones. The blue is blue, but it's not bright blue. It's not desaturated. Everything looks very natural. And again, looks like we might be another R6 file. And I could soften. I could bright white. See how that instantly gives the image a pop. You could do Vibrance, and really on this, because there's not a lot of color in here, it's just going to pump up their skin tones a little bit. But nice, easy edit. These are so fast. Here's a beautiful image from Ellen Wagner. And I love this, again, because we were looking for color for this collection because we really wanted to show off how it worked with the colors. And this is great because we got blue water, we got white sands, and beautiful color bathing suits, and tan little bodies. So you see how it works wonderfully on their skin tones. And add in that Vibrance. Even when you add it, you can see she's not going orange. She's just got that extra punch of deep color. You can lift from the shadows a little if you wanted to lighten some of that up, but honestly, I like this documentary style, and none of the whites are blown out. So it's beautiful. Here's a nice indoor shot with a little more natural tones. This is from Corey Johnson. I think I'm going to stick with one on this. I'm going to add in a tiny bit of pink or magenta, tiny bit of warmth. Let's see this side by side. So that's just one click of this and some white balance adjustments, and that's it. You can, of course, adjust these. So if you wanted to go, say we want to do something a little moodier, we can bring this down, warm it up, and get a whole nother vibe out of it. So the goal with this collection and Refine 1 is to make them extremely flexible to fit a wide variety of projects and allow you ease of use when adjusting them. I think this would be a gorgeous black and white, so let's take a look at that. I'm just mooning it up a little bit. And then put this green on. And that looks gorgeous. Lovely image. Here's another newborn from Danielle Hobbs. One click. I'm going to cool it down. As I mentioned before, babies can lean a little pink, but they can also lean a little yellow and orange. A lot of babies come in with a tiny bit of jaundice, and we're shooting newborns within that first week. Sometimes they still maintain a little of that kind of yellow tone. And, you know, you're going to see that in them. I shot newborns for years, so I always saw it. So I'm going to pull down the warmth on this just a little, just to take some of that out. And you can even soften it up with the backlit a little bit. You can do highlight recover, just knocked off a little bit of the hot spots on his little onesie and blanket. Soften. Hopefully you guys can see. I don't know if you guys can see. It softens just slightly, just takes off that little bit of digital edge and helps the fall off a little better. And of course you can go into your HSL if you want, adjust these oranges a little bit when you're dealing with a specifically strong color like that. So you can just adjust the saturation a little bit, and there you go. Black and white. Here's another Lady Moran. She happened to be in a perfect location to show off this preset collection, so she sent me a bunch of files. And just like that, one click, I honestly could just stop and move on. And I could edit this so fast just because they are really editing just that quickly. But beautiful timeless edits, not overly stylized, and beautiful. And if we want to add vibrance, see, again, everything brightens up, but not too much. Beautiful Parisian model by Corey Johnson. And let's go ahead and warm this up, watching her skin tones. I'm going to let the exposure, and I'm going to have to come back in. We've got a lot of contrast between the black and the white dress, so I'll probably use highlight recover in a second, but I want to get her skin to where I want it. Highlight recover, you can see skin stayed where it was, and I brought all the detail back into the dress. And you can see just how beautiful that lip color is. That's something that we really wanted to tackle, was those pinks and reds, and make sure they stayed true to life and didn't lean orange or too desaturated. There you go. And again, you could click through. That seems a little harsh, but you can find that happy medium. Say you wanted to do something like this, medium format crop, bring it in and really focus on her. And let's highlight recover again. There you go. It's a beautiful image from Corey Johnson, the other one. So I have two of them. And let's see, lift up this exposure. A little bit of contrast if we want it, but of course these beautiful sessions look great soft. I always like a medium format crop, but I'm a sucker for that. And that's beautiful. I really wouldn't have to do much more to this, but to show you the flexibility. And oh, bright white. I wanted to show you guys that on this again. I wanted to have it as an option because some for me personally, especially when I'm shooting stock photography, I can't have any blowouts. Um, so I like it a little more of a softer highlight, but this is widely requested to have a nice bright white. So we added it as a quick tool for you guys to use. Here's another image by Katya and this beautiful model. Going to refine 1 and lift. I'm actually going to go with 2. No, backlight's too strong on this one. Just lift from the shadow. And there you go. This next image is actually my eldest and our 9-month-old Shepherd Husky puppy. This was a very hot summer day and we had a little bit of humidity, so we got a little bit of haze. It was just before sunset. So you'll see that with refined 2, the first one, that it's just a little too light. And so this is a perfect example of when normally I would edit with these first 2, but leaning on number 2 and 3 really helps cut through that haze a little bit, and then we can work from there. So I think that's a little too much, so I think I'm going to hand adjust. And I'm definitely going to add on a little bit of that Vibrance just to kind of make this gold pop and these trees pop. Let's take a look at the before and after. You can see how it just really gave those beautiful tones. If I wanted to warm it up more to this, I could. If you like a nice golden Cali sun look, but it's just as simple as that, or if you like to cool it down too. And let's try the second Vibrance. So this really just, again, true to life, but just that nice rich color that we're looking for. I could add in some contrast to give it a little more pop. I like things a little softer because I come from a film background, and even with the soften, that looks good too. Another image from Danielle Hobbs, and I wanted to show this because it's got such a bright white hair, but his blue shirt, the pink baby, the light skin tones really show off this preset and just how true to life it is, but it really just softens things up. And really, you see how it took out all of the extra kind of, skin noise. Still has a slight film edge to it, but not too filmy like Refine 1. Really cleaned up the skin, so it looks really good in nice pretty blues. And again, we can add in Vibrance. Gotta watch the baby, because the pinks and oranges really do pop on that, so sometimes on baby it's just a little too much. Then we have this nice wedding image from Danielle Rose from Lavender and Twine. And let's go ahead and just the second one, we're going to lift. Let's warm it up a little. And I feel like I'm going to add in backlight. There we go. And you see how it brings in all those beautiful colors. They're still bright and vivid. With these flowers. Her dress is a little hot because we are dealing with shade and full sun. So let's go ahead and do highlight recover. See how that immediately brought it back in. And got a little bit of chromatic aberration. Can you see it here on her feet? Let's see if the tool works. This is only set to one setting. These are adjustable in the panel, but I tried to find a happy medium, and it actually took a good bit of it out. So if you needed to do more, for those that don't know, you come in here and you adjust these as needed. You can adjust the strength, but I think that it took care of it there. Sometimes you get pink, sometimes you get red. I mean, green. This next image is, again, my daughter and our puppy. Let's go ahead and click Refine 1, and honestly, I could leave it right here. If you look, again, it was a really hot day, so this is towards the end of the session. You can see she was getting pretty flushed from the heat, but the preset pulled just enough of that out and neutralized those reds to oranges. but still left beautiful color in her lip line. The blues look great. The husky is still a creamy white, and the golden tones are still there, but just softened. So this is just the first one. We can obviously darken it based on, taste. That looks pretty because I really do like the contrast of her hair to her skin and to the wheat. And then if I wanted to add a little vibrance, you can see it just adds just enough color. I'm so happy with these tools because I feel like it's not an overpower. And we could obviously go even darker. Let's take a look at it in black and white. It's gorgeous. Add the bright white for a nice crisp look, and the grain. Look at that. It's gorgeous. All right, we got one more for you, and then we'll be finishing up. This is another beautiful image by Danielle Hobbs, and I just wanted to show you guys just how beautiful that just edited. It's so simple, but look how gorgeous. It cleaned up her skin, made it nice and creamy. Baby's nice and pink, like we discussed. The whites are still nice and crisp white, and we can even warm this up if we wanted to just a little. This is an R6 file, so if we want to feel like we need a little more color, you can add in that first Vibrance tool, just enough to give an extra boost of flesh tone, little pop to the blues. I think two, I mean, you could even use the plus, but I think the first one is just fine. And of course, as I mentioned before, you can use all these sliders to adjust. Just try bright white, just crisp things up a little bit. But there you go. That is the Refine 2 collection, how to use the presets, how they edit on a variety of lighting situations and files, all by different users and different locations, different white balances, different exposures, but it's a very easy to use collection, very straightforward, one that will last you a long time, and I think one that would be great to have in your toolbox. Even if you have other collections, I think this is a good basic and core preset collection for everybody's editing toolbox. So I hope you guys have a great day, and thanks for watching.